So what exactly are state-based actions? Well, you could think of state-based actions like referees of the game. They're constantly checking the state of the game to make sure things are in order. No player controls these actions, rather it's the game itself that imposes these actions. A few examples of states the game looks for are things like a creature having 0 or less toughness going to the graveyard, a creature marked with damage greater than its toughness goes to the graveyard, a player with 0 or less life or attempted to draw cards from an empty library loses the game, a player controlling multiple legendary permanents with the same name chooses one to keep and puts the rest into the graveyard, and a commander moving to the command zone from the graveyard or exile is also a state-based check. And there's many more. So when do we check state-based actions? The game always checks state-based actions when a player would gain priority and at cleanup step. And if you're not sure what priority is, I have another video that explains in detail what it is. I'll have the video linked down below. But to elaborate a little more, state-based actions would check before any triggers are put on the stack and before a player would have the ability to respond. So if I have Sculpting Steel entering as a copy of Shroom the Hegemon, before it can trigger as a copy of Shroom, the game will check to make sure things are in order. It will see there are 2 legendary permanents with the same name and you have to choose one to keep and put the rest into the graveyard. After that occurs, triggers can now go on the stack and we can go ahead and pick targets. And at the time of being able to pick targets, Sculpting Steel is now a legal target that we can choose and bring back to the battlefield. It's important to note that those are the only time state-based actions are checked. This means we do not check state-based actions during the resolution of effects. So if player 2 casts Necromantic Selection, we follow all the instructions of Necromantic Selection first. They can destroy all creatures and then choose player 1's commander to return to the battlefield under their control. We put Necromantic Selection into the graveyard at the very end of the resolution, and then before players gain priority, we can check for state-based actions. This is when we can check to see if there's any commanders in the graveyard that could move to the command zone. But with this current board state, the game doesn't see anything out of order, so player 2 will continue to retain control of player 1's commander.